This video is about the 10 things that I love about living in Thailand. So let's start off with the very best thing that I like about Thailand, and that must be the beaches. There's so many to choose from, so where do I start? Well, I'm on Koh Samui, so let's start there. That's probably the best place for me in Thailand is Koh Samui. Beaches like Ban Rak, Lipa Noi, Boput, Lamai, Chaweng. So many beautiful beaches that surround this island. And then just a short ferry ride away there's the beautiful islands of Koh Phangan and Koh Tao. Then travelling back across to the mainland, about 4 hours south of Don Sak Pier is a lovely area of Krabi. This is on the Andaman Sea side of Thailand, whereas Koh Samui is situated in the Gulf of Thailand. And another short ferry ride away from Krabi, you land on Phi Phi Island, which is probably one of the best islands in Southeast Asia, if not the world. Then just across the Gulf of Thailand from Phi Phi Island you have another island of Phuket, which is the biggest island in Thailand. Then driving across the causeway that leads off of Phuket, heading north, you'll come across the beautiful area on the Andaman Sea side of Koh Lak. Heading back north, you go to my old stomping ground of Hua Hin, which also has some beautiful beaches. Then about a 4-hour drive northeast from Hua Hin, going through Bangkok, you'll find the Sin City, at least for some people, of Pattaya. Of course, there's many more islands and beaches that surround Thailand, and I can't list them all, but I think that you can get the idea why beaches are number one on my list of the 10 things that I love about Thailand. Which brings me to number 2 on my list, the beautiful ladies of Thailand. For me, Thai women are up there with the most beautiful women in the world. Many people believe that Thai women are easy to get because of the reputation that Thai ladies who work in the bars, tourist areas, in places like Walking Street in Pattaya or Patong in Phuket or Soi Cowboy in Bangkok. But most Thai ladies are quite shy and reserved and don't like to show off their bodies, even when they go to the beach. Thai women are the backbone of the family, and this is demonstrated even more so when it comes to their families and loved ones. Most will sacrifice their own happiness for their parents, husband or children. The same as in any country, there's always going to be a few bad ones. I tell you this much, if you find the right one, you're a very lucky man. So please don't judge all Thai ladies by girls that work in the bars. Not that there's anything wrong with bar girls. Most of them are only trying to help their families back in their villages or towns, and often support their children alone, as many Thai men tend to drift away when children come on the scene. When this happens, many girls in villages in Thailand, and with very few job opportunities, some of them head to the places like Phuket and Pattaya and Bangkok and get jobs working in bars to send money home to feed their families. So there you have it, my second reason for why I love Thailand. In hindsight, maybe Thai lady should have been my first choice on why I love Thailand. So now we come to my third reason about why I like living in Thailand. The cost of living. I can live on my retirement pension easy living here in Thailand without having to dig into my investments or savings. This is even more evident during COVID, when most of the businesses are desperate for your money. Imported goods are more expensive, but if you watch what you spend, you can live on a fraction of what it would cost you to live in the USA, UK, Australia, or most other European and Western countries. Food is cheap, eating out is cheap, as is transport. Getting around Thailand is a lot cheaper than getting around most Western countries, that's for sure. Clothing's also a fraction of the price of what you pay in Western countries. In fact, everything, no matter what, unless it's imported goods, as I said before, then yes, you're going to pay a premium. But if you're going to just live a normal life, eating from the supermarket or from 7-Elevens or from markets, you can eat very cheaply, and the food is healthy. It's not all fried foods. There's a lot of decent foods out there, noodles and soups with lots of vegetables and fish, seafood. So it's a healthy lifestyle as well. When it comes to property, I'm looking at the moment at getting a villa. This villa that you see here, it's a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom villa. No swimming pool, but it's only 500 metres from the beach. It comes fully furnished. It comes fully equipped with all your cooking equipment, everything you need really. All you have to do is unpack your toothbrush and away you go. This particular place, because of COVID, obviously, I would think 2 years ago it would have been double the price that it is now. But at the moment, this place is being rented for 9,000 baht a month, which equates to round about, or say something like about 375 Australian dollars, so less than $100 a week in Australian dollars, 270 US dollars a month, less than $70 a week, and around about 195 pounds, British pounds, a month. So that's something like 50 pounds a week for your accommodation. Fully furnished, fully equipped, everything you need, and 500 metres from the beach. This also has government electricity, which what I mean by that is that they charge 4 baht per unit for. That's what the government charge for electricity. But some places that you rent, they double it, so you're paying 8 bahts per unit, which works out very expensive. But this place here is the 4 baht per unit as the government charges. They just charge the same. There's also free Wi-Fi. Water is included. So only thing you're paying is your electricity. And at 4 baht per unit, that's very cheap. My electric bill in a similar size place to this, with 4 baht per unit, I was paying around about 500-600 baht a month. I put up on the screen some average cost of living for the whole of Thailand, but keep in mind that the rural areas, a lot of the rural areas are a lot cheaper to live in than say obviously Bangkok and most of the tourist areas, though most of the tourist areas now are comparable to those rural areas because of COVID-19. before COVID arrived in Thailand, Thailand was getting a little bit expensive to live. I was finding it that prices were going up, but since COVID arrived, Thailand's had to adjust, the same as the rest of the world, and to get customers they've had to drop their prices. So everything from food to accommodation, everything really has now dropped in price. So it's a very cheap place to live. Unless you want to live the high life, then it's here for you as well. If you want to buy imported goods and expensive cars, yes, you can spend a lot of money. There are more cheaper places to live in Southeast Asia, places like Myanmar, Laos, Cambodia, but they don't offer the same lifestyle that Thailand does. And I think if you're comparing those countries with Thailand, you're going to get a far better lifestyle, dollar for dollar, living in Thailand than you would in countries like Myanmar, Laos or Cambodia. So that brings me to number 4 on my list of things that I like about living in Thailand, and that would have to be the climate. Being a chef and working on cruise ships and other vessels that have sailed around the world, and also the hotels that I've worked in around the world, there's not that many countries that I haven't visited. But for me, Thailand's climate is one of the best in the world. You do have a wet season, but to be honest, I quite enjoy that, because it gives me time to catch up on the things that I've neglected other 10 months of the year, when I've been going out and going to the beaches and doing all the things I love to do in the beautiful Thailand weather. And the wet season doesn't always happen. Here in Koh Samui this wet season, we're halfway through it and we've hardly had any rain. But on the other hand, Pattaya has just had some terrible floods, so it's hard to know what the wet season will bring. I grew up in England, where even summers weren't guaranteed. We'd have some terrible wet summers, so a little bit of a rainy season here doesn't worry me at all, because I know that for the rest of the year the weather's going to be amazing. So that brings me to the 5th reason of the 10 reasons of why I love Thailand. The 5th reason being the amazing people of Thailand. There's a reason that Thailand is called the land of smiles. The people always seem to be able to raise a smile, no matter what problems they're having. Ask someone in England how they are today, and they most likely will answer something like, "Oh, not too bad," or "It could be worse, I suppose," or "Mustn't grumble." Ask a Thai person the same question, and you always get "Chan Spidey Cob Kun," "Oh, I'm great, thanks, how are you?" They're also naturally interested in you and where you're from, and they want to know about your country and what you think about their country. Over the years, the country's gone through many problems. Military coup d'etats and political instability. Thailand's had 18 military coups, 6 of them since 1971. They've had to endure tsunamis, floods, droughts, and corruption is just a way of life. But they just seem to adapt and carry on with their lives. The majority of Thais, because of their Buddhist beliefs, are honest, because they need to do good in this life to make sure that their next life will be better. I've lived here for over 4 years now. I've never had a crime committed against me, or I've never ever felt threatened here. I've lost count of the times that I've left my keys in my motorbike and gone off somewhere, but the motorbike's still been there when I've got back. When I park my motorbike to go into a shopping centre, like everyone else, I leave my helmet on my motorbike, and it's always there when I return. I often leave bags of shopping on my bike as well, and no one touches it. Try doing that in most Western countries, or even many Asian countries. Most Thais really care about other people. When I first came to Thailand in 2017, about a month after I got here, I was involved in a very bad motorbike accident. The woman who found me at the side of the road called an ambulance for me. I was unconscious, so I didn't know anything that had happened. But apparently she accompanied me to the hospital and she stayed with me until I regained consciousness. She returned the next day and the day after that, and she kept coming back with food and drink for me and to make sure that I wasn't alone. She knew that I was alone in the country, so she came every day for 4 days that I was in the hospital. She was just an ordinary Thai lady. She didn't have much money, but every day she'd bring food, and she refused money that I offered to repay her for buying the food and the drink for me. On the last day, I made sure that when she went to the toilet, I'd push some money in her bag to repay her and give her a little bit extra as well for what she did for me. And I'll never forget that. It really made a big difference for me because she spoke the language and she made sure that I got the best attention in the hospital. Okay, so that brings me to number 6 on the things that I like about Thailand, which is the temples. I lost my religion, many years ago. In fact, I don't think that I ever had a religion to lose. My parents made me go to church as a child, but as soon as I was old enough to rebel, I stopped going. I hated the doom and gloom of the Christian churches, the Gothic architecture, and with Jesus nailed to the cross. Everything was fire and brimstone and repent your sins. Buddhist temples are the opposite. Many sit overlooking beautiful seas that surround Thailand, or in rural areas they sit high on mountain tops overlooking the countryside. Or in this case, this temple here in Koh Samui, it sits on a lovely lake with fish and turtles. You can maybe just see a turtle there now. Looks like yeah, there he is. He's showing his little head. And it's surrounded by huge fish the monks feed and the people who come here feed. I think I've said many times, you're probably sick of me hearing me say it, but I always feel a better person leaving and going in. I feel as if my spirits have been revived. So if ever I was going to take up a religion, I'm 70 years old now and I'm a little bit too old and long in the tooth for religion perhaps. I suppose there's no real time limit on it, but I still don't really. Buddhism is very good for me, but it's still not something which I've decided to go into 100%. I just like coming here, and I don't know how to pray properly or to make merit, but I just do what I do in a normal church back in the UK. I just pray for my family, my friends, my girlfriend, anyone who I love. I pray for them. I pray for good luck, like most Thai people do. And when I leave the temple, I feel a good person. I feel like I'm a better person than when I entered. Even the monks, they always seem happy. They chat to you if they speak English. They quite often ask where you're from, and if you are Buddhist, are you a follower of Buddhism? They like to find out about your life, but they're not trying to convince you to be a Buddhist or anything like that. They're just inquisitive. They like to know about the people who are coming to the temple, where they're from, what they think of the temple. Do they like it? Have they been to other temples in Thailand? Things like that. Because some of them do speak English, others don't, but they still smile at you. They still welcome you. I quite often go with my girlfriend and we'll make merit together,
and they'll tie a string around my wrist and sprinkle water on me. They don't ask if I'm a Buddhist. They just welcome me to their religion, and I find that uplifting as well. I remember when I wanted to get married in a Catholic church, because my wife was Catholic and I was Protestant, but they wouldn't let me marry her in the Catholic church unless I changed my religion to being a Catholic, which I had to do because my wife really wanted a white wedding in a Catholic church. So that's what I did. I had to go and get christened as a Catholic, and that put me off religion. I was only doing it not because I felt I wanted to be a Catholic, but I had to. You know, it was like blackmail. Either become a Catholic or we won't marry you. As I said, Buddhism here, I can go to any Buddhist temple and I'm welcomed. And they don't ask me what religion I have or what I'm doing there. They don't say, oh, you can't come in because you're not a Buddhist. They welcome you. And yeah, that's why this is number 6 on my list of things that I love about Thailand. This brings me to number 7 on my list of things that I love about Thailand, which is markets. Markets have taken a bit of a hammering because of COVID. COVID's been spread a lot in markets. Many markets have closed down. Market where I am living now, Lamai, at the moment, used to have a fantastic night market every Sunday, but that's been closed for over a year now. With no sign of it reopening anytime soon. Okay, we start down this end. As you can see, it's all fresh vegetables and fruits. Very dark in here. But you come here and you get some bargains with this real leather. Bag there, 300 baht, $12. Children's clothing. I can spend hours walking around these types of markets. I love them. And you always find something that you think, oh, that looks nice. In fact, that does look nice. I'll come back and have a look at that later, I think. And that looks quite nice as well. Some beautiful clothes. I'll find the price and I'll tell you later if it's a bargain. And then we got all types of foods here: chicken, fish, satay. But as you can see, a lot of them have closed up because of COVID. Even though it's a local market, they're still doing it tough because a lot of people have gone back to their villages when tourist related businesses closed. They all went back to their villages in Isan or Chiang Mai or Chiang Rai, so there's not as many people here now in Koh Samui. But you can see there they've got all the spicy sausages, chicken, and then we've got some fresh meat. We've got this ingenious way to keep the flies off. Notice nothing is refrigerated. Doesn't seem to matter much in Thailand. There's no real rules like there is in Western countries where everything has to be refrigerated, and you know, you do have to be careful when you're buying food from places like this. But it is fresh. It's just that they don't have any refrigeration for it. But it is fresh every day. I came here last time. I came here was about 2 or 3 years ago when I was living here, and it was packed, absolutely packed. But now, as you can see, it's struggling because of COVID. The seafood section here. Look, live fish, catfish. You just throw them in there alive, for little things. Nice big fish there, tuna by the look of it. It'd be cruelty to animals if that was in the UK or Australia, but it's just part of the course in Thailand. Nice chicken legs there, chicken thighs, and vegetables. Well, I'll probably take in the Muslim market as well. We'll go down and have a look at that so you can get a better idea of what the market's offer, because this was a little bit of a disappointment actually compared to last time I was here. We'll have a look at the Muslim market and see if that's any busier. Okay, so now we're going to just have a little look around the Muslim village market, just down this side here. This is the Muslim area of Samui, just outside of Lamai on the ring road, and this is the market right on the beach. But this is more, I think, more a food market than a clothes market. But I would think then they sell just about all types of foods. It's not just Muslim food they sell here, or it's predominantly Muslim area, and it will be a lot of halal food because it is Muslim, but you'll probably find what you need here if you nice prawns there, 100 baht a kilo. Fair size, that's only $4 a kilo. So that's what I was saying about the food. That's number 8 on my list, so I'm doing 7 and 8 together. Thai food is fantastic. Look at that tuna there. No refrigeration, you just stick things, just put it on ice. Mainly fish here. Mike sometimes comes here and buys a fish because it's always fresh here, fresh from the boats that go out overnight. 100 baht a kilo, $4 a kilo for fresh fish. Like a small shark. So, it might be Muslim, but it's there's definitely not all Muslim food because there's pork here. As you can see, there's a pig's head there. It's only a small market, this one. It's not massive, but it's got everything you need. Yeah, so this is the main Muslim area of Koh Samui. The majority of Muslims live in southern Thailand, down by Hat Yai, down by the Malaysian border. Because Malaysia is predominantly a Muslim country, whereas Thailand is 95% Buddhist. So, and you tend to find that the Muslims tend to stay in the same area when they make their own little area in any town they are at, because obviously they're for their food and for the where they have to go and worship. So you find that the Muslims stay wherever their mosque is, make their home around there, and then they'll open their shops and their markets to cater for the Muslim population. So
this brings us to number 8 on my list of the 10 things I love about living in Thailand, which is the rural areas of Thailand. Many of the rural areas of northern Thailand speak their own language, as well as Thai, such as Lana or Kamawang, which literally translates to language of the townspeople. There are also many ethnic minorities in rural areas, such as Karen, Lisu, Hmong and Chinho, but there's many others as well. Most of the provinces in the north of Thailand also have their own national dishes, and are fiercely proud of them, with the Isan area having the reputation for the spiciest food in the whole of Thailand. With northern Thailand having cooler weather and quite often more rainfall, it's also known as the Garden of Thailand, and farming is the main industry up north. Rural areas of Thailand don't see a lot of tourism in the areas, the exception being probably Chiang Mai and Chiang Rai. In the Chiang Mai, Chiang Rai area, there's many hill tribes such as the Hmong, Karen, where the Karen long neck ladies are, and a lot of ethnic villages, which are very well worthwhile going to see how some of these people live their lives. The rural areas of northern Thailand don't have a lot of expats or retirees living there, although there are some who have met ladies and decided to go back to their towns or villages up north to live a more laid-back lifestyle than the tourist areas offer. Personally, I love Chiang Mai, and I could very easily live there. The main sticking point for me being that the nearest beach is a 10-hour drive away, and living a lot of my life at sea, I could never live too far away from the coastal areas. Just because northern Thailand doesn't have a lot of touristy things, that doesn't mean to say there's nothing to do. There's some very beautiful places to go and visit and see in the whole of northern Thailand. Some of the most beautiful temples you'll find are situated in northern Thailand. And there are many national parks teeming with wildlife and tropical birds. So if you're planning on making a trip to Thailand after COVID-19 is over, don't miss out on seeing the beauty of northern Thailand. So that brings me to number 9 on my list for the 10 things that I love about living in Thailand. And that would have to be the magnificent wildlife. The elephant, or Chang as it's called here, is recognised as the national animal of Thailand. Thailand is home to many species of monkeys, the most common being the macaque, which you often find around the towns or in temples. Some temples are dedicated to monkeys and call themselves a monkey temple, which always tends to attract tourists. Monkeys are very cute, but you should always be very careful if ever approaching a monkey. There are over 1,000 species of birds in Thailand. The national bird of Thailand is the Siamese fireback. There are thought to be about 3,000 wild tigers in the world. 170 of them are reported to be in Thailand. There are over 100 national parks in Thailand. 26 of them are marine national parks that attract scuba divers from all around the world. So that brings me to number 10 on the things that I like about living in Thailand, which has to be the delicious cuisine of Thailand. What more can you say about Thai food? Everywhere you go in the world, you'll find a Thai restaurant. I don't think I've ever been to a country or a town where I haven't found a Thai restaurant. It's very popular everywhere you go. But what you find in restaurants in New York or London or Chicago or Sydney are not always authentic. They're cooked for the taste of the country that they're in. And you may find a big difference when you eat in a restaurant or off a stall in Thailand and order a pad thai or a tom yum goong. Surrounded by the Gulf of Thailand and the Andaman Sea, Thailand is always going to offer great seafood. In many places you can pick your fish or seafood from a stall and they'll cook it to order. Here you can eat for 50 baht off a stall at a market, and you can eat well, or you can go to a high-end restaurant and get some beautiful food. It's so diverse, Thailand. Yes, you can get the cheap foods at the markets and on the stalls, but they've got some very beautiful restaurants as well. So there you have it, the 10 things that I love the most about living in Thailand. There's so many more things that I love about living in the land of smiles, but too many to list. And don't get me wrong, there's some bad things about living in Thailand as well, but the good things far outweigh the bad. And I think I'd be hard pushed to find 10 things that I dislike about living in Thailand. So thanks for watching. Perhaps you have some favourite things that you like about Thailand. If you do, please put them in the comments box and I'll let everyone know, as it may be of interest to them. If you enjoy watching my videos about living and retiring in Thailand, please subscribe, push the thumbs up button, and please tell your friends and ask them to take a look at my videos as well. Thanks once again for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.